In order to make sure you're on the right track, we wanted to have a follow-up to your last assignment. You were given these notes for yourself, and I hope that it was something that was useful. What I also hope is that you ended up with something like this. You have these question words. I'm going to give you a minute to look over that column so that you can pause if you need to and compare to what you had. And then these were the responses. Again, compare what you had. Notice I put my question and my answer, the ones that were related, next to each other so that I could easily make some statements or gather my thoughts about how they were connected. Then from step 2, you were asked to borrow from these actions, but omit all of the details except for the action itself. So, in my order, this is what I came up with. Comes, bailas, lees, juegas, duermes, haces. Usas, miras, escuchas, hablas. And then these you've seen, several times throughout the year. So you were asked to take that information, those two boxes, the orange questions and responses boxes, and try to see what was similar and what was different between the question and its related response. Well, here's what I noticed in my first one. When I compare them, so looking for similarities, when I compare them, one is comes and the other is como. Well, both of them start with C-O-M, com. And so does comer. Interesting. Then it said what contrasts them, what is different. So when I contrast comes and como, while they do start the same, one ends in es and the other ends in o. So, hopefully you've noticed that the questions all have something in common with each other as well. Each of these ends in either es or as. Now we need to figure out how. So we know that they're going to end in either es or as, but how do we know which one? I mean, we want to be able to create our own sentences. So in order to do that, we've got to figure out where these endings come from. It makes a difference. You can't just pick one. So here's your next task. I think maybe you should have already been given this in your assignments. But now what you're going to do is you're going to drag the statements that you were looking at in the previous activity into one of two categories. I did the first in each category for you. Bailas en las fiestas, comes hamburguesas. So I want you to get those completed. And as you're doing that, in the little thought bubble, here's what it says. Think back to expressing what you like to do. Do you think those verbs have any connection to figure out how to create new verbs for these categories? So I want you to type your thoughts in the space below. These thoughts should relate to how do I know which category these go in? And what do those actions have in common with the actions I said I like to do? Be prepared to share your responses with your teacher and your classmates.